On this episode of On the Record, we're looking at a business that accelerated during the pandemic, a woman who doesn't quit or slow down as relaxing for her is investigating a new trade or skill, mother, wife, and bagel aficionado, Brittany Zavala-Quinones of BRITT&CO Bagels. Strap in as we go on the record. Who's the co?
Technically my kids and my husband, but...
So they're there for you anytime that you need a little aid, maybe giving you the mixer, or
making
whatever
boxes,
has to happen.
stamping, curbside.
This is a kind of a crazy story of, what happened with you here with the bagels and going into the pandemic, because I read somewhere that you single-handedly put out 8,000 bagels during March 2020, alone, essentially.
Oh, yeah.
You know how big that number is? 8,000?
Yeah, oh, I know. I didn't sleep.
He's like, yeah.
How many people live in Mamaroneck?
Like 17,000.
So you supplied half of Mamaroneck's town with bagels, essentially.
Correct.
How many bagels per day is that?
Oh, my gosh, I don't know. My forte is not math. My forte is just, making bagels, working hard, and I guess technically being a mom. But I don't really know how great I am at that right now with the hours at work.
So you were doing this, though. You've been doing baking for a long time. You've made bagels for a long time. And if you hear any munching in the background, that's Justin Nooms eating bagels. They're probably delicious.
They're really good.
Thank you.
So,
Jamie, will let you coast on this for a little bit while I finish this bagel.
you guys eat. We've got
I'll jump
serious
back in.
business to talk over here. So this wasn't new to you. You didn't just say, all right, I'm going to make bagels all of a sudden.
No.
Just because the pandemic hit and people needed food. But it did feel like it really motivated the business to do bigger things.
I had no intention of making it a business. This was more, the pandemic was coming, my small business had to close, and my husband called and said, Aiden's not going to be in school. What should I go and get? We're going to be shut down, locked down. Should I go get bagels? I went, no, they always stale. You already know that. Don't get bagels. And then my son, my 12-year-old, said, Mom, you haven't made your bagels in a really long time, because this was a concept I had. It was a whole love project from when I was 16 years old, and I had a book of recipes of different types of bagels. So I said, you know what? Fine. Go to the Bronx, go get me my flour, and the flour I use only comes in commercial sizes, so 50-pound sacks.
What kind of flour is it? I'm guessing something specific?
It's a blend. I make a blend between two different flours to
Look at
make them
Noom's
have the
trying to-
consistency that they have. I can't tell you that secret.
Fair enough, I understand.
So I told my husband, just pick it up, and he's like, what are we going to do with 150 pounds of flour? I said, listen, I'll make a lot of bagels, but it's fine because it's something to do with the kids, and I'll make bagels for your grandparents, for my family, and then as we're sitting talking, I have a lot of friends in healthcare. My son goes, Mom, you always say to do something good. What if we also make some bagels for your friends in the hospitals? I said, you know what, buddy, that's a great idea. So that's how we'll utilize this flour, utilize the time. I've got serious ADHD, not being able to go to work. I was like, oh, what am I going to do with myself? I need to be productive. So it really just started as I got to make some bagels for my kid, and I'm going to make it for other people as just something to do and occupy my time, and notes of encouragement, find a way to be useful, and then it just blew up from there.
When you just said that you shut down your other business. Now, you are currently operating out of Greenwich, and previously to this, you were in Harrison.
Yep.
So what actually was the other business that you wound up shutting down?
No, well, it's reopened since phase 3, but I have a skin and healthcare clinic that does advanced medical grade laser aesthetics. I've had it since 2008.
Oh, wow.
So I had a location in Stamford, I have a location in Yonkers. Prior to that, I also had one in Yorktown Heights. And so I had to close Stamford and Yonkers because of the mandates that we weren't allowed to operate. So
that's a pretty wide range of things that you do and handle. Then, you would expect it to be like, we produce something that helps you make bagels on my other business.
Right, yeah, no, not
like,
in the least.
No, we do laser stuff over here and help.
Yeah, no, I do skincare and body care, yeah.
So you were cranking around on this recipe that you've been developing for some time, and you just mentioned to me that you were 16 essentially putting these recipes together.
Yes.
And this was specifically just like a dough recipe for bagels?
So, no, when I was emancipated when I was really young, and so I was living on my own. I actually was staying with my uncle for a little while, and I got a job at Village Square Bagels in Larchmont. And I used to have to go and open up really early, and there's nothing like a fresh bagel. I was like, oh my God, this is so amazing. I would tell all the guys, give me all the fresh bagels you can. But then I noticed as I'm putting them out, making the sandwiches, these stale so quickly. When you try to make a sandwich, everything falls out the other end. It scrapes the roof of your mouth. Watching kids try to eat it, your jaw hurts. So I'm like, why does it stale so quickly? I'm someone, again, I have ADHD and I have to I need to know everything. I always was into the culinary field. I've been cooking since I was literally 4 years old. And when I was little, I would do dinner parties for my family, make menus. So it kind of rerouted because I was on my own. I couldn't really go to culinary school. It kind of felt like a starving artist job for me. So I saw this bagel opportunity to just kind of occupy my time of a different avenue of what I wanted to explore. So I started experimenting, borrowing different flours, trying to make a bagel that would be fresh from the oven, have that same texture, but it would have a longer shelf life in that aspect. So you still have where a child can eat it without, and actually finish the entire bagel. And I thought, what if we could fill things with bagels? I just got ideas that I was hoping that the guys in the back would do, but they were like, no, you're crazy. We have tons of bagels we have to make, and that's it.
Who's gonna eat a bagel that's got pizza stuff all over the top of it?
I will.
But it's also the time that it takes. And, you're doing a high volume. So I said, I'm going to do this. One day, I'm going to have my own little concept, little cafe bagel shop and kind of do my own artisan-type bagels. It was a little bit of a pipe dream down the line. Created my bagel recipe, found the perfect one, and then over time, as I would make stuff for friends, I would come up with different ideas I have this in the fridge. This would be a great idea. Then I created bagel bombs, where they're the actual stuff-filled bagels. And then I ended up meeting a few friends and other people, an ex-boyfriend of mine who worked in the union, and every time he called me, he was always at a food truck. This was 2013, food trucks were booming, and he'd be I would try it, and he would say, oh my God, this is so amazing. If you had a food truck, do you understand the business you would do? And so then I said, you know what, maybe I can make this a food truck concept. So now we're talking, I started developing a more extensive idea of a menu while working my main business around 2015, 2016. And then, my business was just busy. I was a single mom at the time, so it kind of just fell a little to the wayside. So that's essentially kind of the evolution of where it came. It really started from when I was quite young.
When you mention a food truck that in my head does bagels, I just think about the Oppo ice cream truck where you roll around at 8:30 in the morning with the sound coming on to let people know that you're in town and you can get your fresh bagels. Would you not run outside if her truck was just driving down the street with the sound?
Yeah, 100%.
Totally. And there's
Wait, there's an Apple ice cream truck?
Wait, what?
What did you say? The Apple ice cream
No,
truck?
I was saying it's Oppo, opposite.
Oh.
Opposite
All right.
ice cream truck version where it's a bagel truck and you'd have your little sound on the horn coming off,
Yep.
right?
That might be a genius idea, actually.
Store it in the back of our things
Yeah.
to accomplish soon.
I kind of came up with that first.
Yeah, you get. I'm sorry, we just robbed her entire game plan.
I now
She's
have it on
right
recording.
So, there's hardships though in having to have if you were to have a truck with the
Right.
bagels anyway, because
Right.
you need somewhere to be producing them. And I could imagine, not knowing anything about how to make a bagel, that you need some hot machinery to wind up cooking these things.
Well, you'd be surprised what I did with my home oven.
Tell
and
us what goes into that,
what goes into making them.
making a bagel. Educate me.
So you're making your dough, your basic bagel dough. You have 2 proofing processes. If you're adding stuff to it, that happens right when it's going in right before the kettle boil. I kettle boil my bagels, and then you're baking them. And so it's not too.
What is the kettle boil?
The kettle boil consists of a syrup, which is a malt syrup, and a little bit of salt. Some people don't put salt, some people do. It's just basically boiling water with a little bit of flavoring, which kind of gives it that flavor on the outside and a little bit more of a golden crust. It's a very systematic process. But when you're doing all the variables that I do within my bagels, I wouldn't say it makes it complicated, but it does add a little bit more prep time.
Sure.
Because of my recipe, though, a lot of bagel dough recipes you have to proof overnight, or people use a yeast starter, and that's where then you have people we only operate 2 days a week. You got to pre-order days in advance. Valentine's Day, I had someone call in a huge order. Oh my gosh, I was like, you've lost your mind. Valentine's Day was booked since December. But depending on how the flow of everything goes, I could kind of integrate it and just add a little bit more, 540 grams more flour. That's fine, and I can kind of crank it out if they're flexible on pickup time. So technically, with my bagel recipe, I am able to do same-day things and not have that overnight proofing, which is kind of where that would get hairy if I was to do a food truck. So that's where my
I should have done
recipe-
bagels for Valentine's Day. That would have hit much better than the flowers.
You should
It
have.
just hit me right now.
You mean at home in your personal life?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No,
I
yeah.
customized
No, I mean,
them. I could have put like "I love you so much" on them.
because I've done the flowers now a couple of times, and I was at a loss. I didn't have an. She's gonna listen to this too now. You didn't have an idea, so I just got flowers. I mean, they were nice flowers,
So,
but bagels would have hit nice, especially
would've been
these.
good.
Especially
fresh
these.
from the oven, nice and hot. You can customize it.
I mean, they look beautiful without.
Babe, when you hear this, you're in about 3 weeks behind, so you probably won't hear this for a while. But when you do, I owe you some bagels.
Yeah, there you go. So, yeah, what is the complete time that it would take to make a bagel from step one to step
Today was
something?
like the best gauge for me because I was like, oh my god, I don't know if I can curse on this. I curse a lot. I'm sorry. I
Go
was
for
like, I was like, shit. I want to make them and bring them there. I don't want to just talk about bagels. You guys have never
This
had
is all
it. For
Noom's
all
fault, by
you
the way.
know, they like these are the worst
Not my
garbage
fault.
bagels ever. So I said, this is actually perfect because I'm going to try to do it really fast. Normally, I'm not thinking about time. Generally, when I'm scheduling orders for time, I'll always overestimate because I always want to get an order out on time and not run late. I started the dough, which is a small batch, what made about 8-9 bagels. I started the dough at 135, and it came out of all of them with the toppings and everything came out of the oven literally when I text you, which was
30-ish.
a couple minutes
bit
before
before.
2:30.
That's
Yeah,
impressive as hell.
Wow.
Start to finish in
Yeah.
about an hour.
yes.
So
So that's
how-
if I'm like speeding
I
and
couldn't
doing
do
super
that.
small. Yeah,
That's
So
aggressive.
then,
Yeah.
now take that, right?
And these they're phenomenal.
that's how I did
phenomenal
8,000
bagels.
bagels in a month.
So how
Goddamn.
many can you produce at one in your current standing, or in one sitting,
Like,
standing?
how
One
large of
standing?
a batch can you produce at once?
So I don't like to do too much because again, the dough proofs and my recipe, it can overproof itself because it's built to be able to do as a made to order. I generally do about 2.5 dozen at a time, but I can do that batch, let that proof, and then start another batch. So at once, I'm making anywhere between like 6 to 7.5 dozen at a time that can all come out at once.
Like, there's a lot of bagels. Like,
Yeah.
you know, you're talking about. So my brother, for example, doesn't have Instagram anymore. So he didn't see the post that I put up.
Right.
I reached out to Britt when she was posting up these beautiful photos of these Baby Yoda bagels. And I saw it and I was like, nothing would make my girlfriend happier than if I arrived home with Baby Yoda bagels. So sure enough, that's
Why do you
what
keep saying bagels like that? Is that a Florida thing?
Thank God you said something. It's been irritating the shit out of me.
But I wasn't gonna say. I was like, is he from Canada? Where's he from?
Why are you saying that?
Wait, slow down. What's wrong with the way I say bagels?
That
He
was
said
better.
that was
That was
better.
better.
That
Yeah.
was better.
So you say
like-
bagels.
You've been
Yeah.
saying like bagels.
What do you guys say?
Bagels.
Say it again, but not in unison. One at a time. Nooms.
Bagels.
Just.
Bagels.
Britt.
Bagels.
Bagels.
Like BAY.
bagels. I don't get it. But anyway.
Oh shit.
And yeah, there could be some Florida things in there. Who knows? And that's another thing to talk about in a second. But I said, you know, it would make her nothing happier than to see these things that are circular doughs with holes in the middle. And sure enough, I was able to score some. And disclosure, Britt said, hey, these are yesterday's. They're not going to be as fresh as they were. But she did pack a couple other goodies in there, things I would never order, like a cinnamon swirl bagel. And I've got to say, we ate.
I'm not going to be able to hear it.
So anyway, I heat it up. I put the cream cheese on it. We eat it. And then I go, well, I'm still hungry. So I cut the other one open, and I didn't realize that inside the cinnamon swirl, that it
It's a
was
cinnamon roll bagel,
It's
yeah.
literally like that. And then there was a frosting to dip it into. And
That's what
she was
these
just-
are over
That's
here.
what that is.
Yeah,
right
so
there.
what she was just saying, though, about you getting lockjaw trying to eat bagels, they're just so soft. Like, they're just so damn soft. I
Gross.
ate the whole thing, and I put the other one away. And I said, take this from me because I can't eat 3 bagels in one sitting. But then, now, being a Floridian to some extent in the earlier part of my life, we learned that you can't get a proper bagel.
Correct.
That was okay?
That was excellent.
Okay, guys. In Florida, and we'd always say maybe it was because of the humidity or the water.
The water.
And say water again?
Water.
So the people listening on the West Coast right now are like, why is she saying water like that?
Because I'm from New York.
It's water.
Proper.
Yeah. But, so it is probably likely the water we suspect. And I don't know if you know the deepness of why
the water is so much different up here versus down
Isn't
there?
it like fluoride content and whatnot?
Yeah, exactly. It's just the way they purify. It's the channels that they're getting the water from. The pH balance of the water can affect it. I use purified water. I don't even use, so my bagel recipe can actually be made in
Anywhere.
any state because I use specifically purified water.
Well, that sounds super franchisable, doesn't it?
Very good thinking.
You said that.
Brooklyn-
It can be used in any state. Like, we're getting ready for that.
Yeah.
Brooklyn Bagel Co., I believe it is, operates down in Florida, and the rumor was always that they imported their water.
Yes, they also, I believe they use, instead of water, they actually steam them
Interesting.
so that you don't have that infusion of what is really, I want to say it's more probably acidic that changes that texture and flavor, but I heard that they actually imported special, like, steam to steam them versus boiling them.
And rewind now, too, where, my brother didn't know about this, but his wife was saying, hey, the Yoda bagels. And he's like, what the hell are you talking about? Because now that he doesn't have Instagram, he doesn't see the picture that I posted up there, and I had to explain it. So I'm showing him the bagel, and he's like, wow, those are awesome. Like, where do I get those? I go, well, you got to put an order in. And he goes, yeah, where do I put the order through? And, like, it'll just arrive. And then she's sitting there looking at the phone, and she's like, well, we got to, like, place the order. But wait, now they can't take an order for, like, another 2 weeks or something ahead of time. So, like, you're almost backed up with orders to this
Well,
point.
from when I started, I had a 6-week revolving waiting list.
Insane.
Yeah. Now, the reason that also was because, again, I'm a mom of 2 children, one being a toddler, and I still have 2 other businesses that I run. And then I have, my dad was diagnosed with cancer, was going through treatments. I am someone where I'm not in it necessarily for the money. Like, I love what I do, and I'm someone that's really hardcore on ethics. So, yes, family comes first. I'm not going to say, like, I'm going to hang out and play with my kids over taking an order. Like, no. But, essentially, I'm someone where I've owned a business for a while, and so I know there are contingencies, unforeseen occurrences that could happen. So I, at first, compounded my schedule where I was so resentful with myself and I was killing myself, and it was just, it wasn't sustainable. So I said, I'm a big on consistency, and I want everything it has to come out perfect. If there's a bagel that I feel is just like somewhat overdone, I would redo the entire thing. Like, I didn't care. It needs to always be right. So I structure my schedule where I leave that insurance policy for that. You can always, and I put it everywhere on the website, where if you want for a specific day, specific time, my suggestion is to always book as far in advance as possible. But I can't tell you how many times I've taken a last minute order because I'm a people pleaser. So I'm like, yeah, I'm going to say yes, I'm going to say yes, I'm going to say yes. I structure it all out where you can absolutely put in a last minute order. But if you want for, like, I'll have someone say 6 dozen. Like, that's a lot when I already have a fully booked day. I can technically do it, but I'm going to be killing myself, screaming at someone to, like, be quiet, screaming at my husband because I'm, like, so my nerves get so high strung that it doesn't make it worth it to me. Will I do that often like I did yesterday? For sure. Now, I didn't really scream at everyone, but I don't ever want to overpromise. And then all of a sudden I'm like an hour late. I want to avoid that because that slowly started to happen as I was like, yeah, I can do this. And it just got too much. Again, I've got a toddler, so you never know what's going to happen with that. So, no, you don't have to put in an order 1 to 2 weeks ahead. You can do it the night before. I get messages to the Google Voice. I have the business line linked to Google Voice because some people don't want to call. Some people are like, I'm so scared. How do I order? Well, I don't bite. You can just text message, and I'll get back to you. I'm usually awake managing Instagram or doing a million other things. So you could just text it. You can ask all your questions there, but I've also made everything like in PDF format on every page of the page. It should, to me, I'm like, this should be so simple, but I'm finding for some reason some people are like, how do I order? I go, well, I don't call Smokehouse and go, hey, how do I place an order? You're like, well, you called me. So when you message me, how do I place an order? Like, just give me the order, or where's your menu?
You'd be surprised. We get plenty of those phone calls.
You know what? I find that comforting because my husband will laugh at me and I'm like cursing. And I'm like, are you kidding me?
No, we get them all the time.
What do you mean, where's my menu? The amount of time it took you to send me that message, you could have just typed Britt Bagels and it comes up right on Google. I'm on Google, Yelp, TripAdvisor. Like, it's everywhere. Link in the bio, on the highlights. Like, it's... So when I'm also making orders and I'm trying to also get back to people, it drives me nuts.
I go back so many times into our back end and try to figure it out because people will call we try to funnel as many, just the same thing, funnel as many people as we can to our website to order online, so they don't have to talk to somebody, so they can see it and it's less confusing, or the communication doesn't break down. So if they're just online and do it, you did it, you clicked you got it, whatever the price you paid, you don't have to worry about I told the guy this. Well, you told nobody. It's on there. We can
exactly.
Everything's there. So many times I've spent like an hour, 2 hours at night trying to fix the back end to make it easier after spending time on I've literally sat on the phone, someone called, I'm trying to order on your website. Okay, what's the problem? He's like, how do you do it? And then he's on the phone, and he's ordering through the website with me on the phone telling him what to click next. And I was like, do you want me to just take the order on the phone? I'm here. I was like, I could just.
I made one of my clients laugh because she had actually gotten bagels from me the other week, and I was telling her why I was so frustrated. I go, people will literally call and like either just leave their name. Like, that doesn't help me. Like, what's the order? So then, right. So then I'm like, oh, you know what? I can also differentiate if it's someone who's older that doesn't really know how to, and totally, I'll call back.
Of course.
But they'll literally ask questions. Whereas I'm talking to them, I go, I would just like to inform you, everything that I have said to you, I read off of my website. Nothing was like, I read this off the website. It's right there. And then they'll go, well, can I just text you the order? Please
do.
Yes, please. Please and thank you.
So, like, in scaling, though, as much as it's easy to send a text across and send an email across, and, you've offered up all these different ways for somebody to order, like, a lot of times, if you then decide to get to the point where you want to expand the business even further to scale, you have to automate these to make them easier.
So that's going to be super
right?
easy. The only reason I operate it this way is because I single-handedly do every single thing. The only help I really get, my husband does all of like my Home Depot runs, or Home Depot restaurant. I always do that. Restaurant Depot runs.
Same thing.
Wherever I need to send him to get stuff, and like sometimes he'll make boxes and stamp them, and sometimes he'll help make cream cheeses. But essentially everything I do myself. And so because of that, I can't really put it on an automated system, because if it's a day I got to take my kid to the doctor, like I can't just put set hours. I extend them. I have someone who put in a request tonight. Can I pick up a bagel order at 10:30? And normally, I'm nuts. So I'm like, yeah, sure, no problem. Like I'll fire it up and I'll do it. As I am growing to scale, just because of the demand, that's going to be super easy, because now I'm going to have people. I have people that I'm training. That is, here's the set times. I don't have to be contingent just upon my schedule, and all of the other things that I have going on that could kind of affect that. So that's going to be much easier. I didn't think it was going to grow and become this like it has. But as things are happening, I'm actually currently testing to ship for Goldbelly. Goldbelly reached out. So the second I get on Goldbelly, which should be like in the next month or two, everything's going to be all on a schedule, order online. All those features will be on the website.
I just
I'm
hope
sure
you
I'll
know.
still get questions.
I hope you know what you're getting yourself into,
Absolutely.
because I've walked into Walters and seen the entire wall lined with Goldbelly deliveries.
Oh no, I'm aware. Yeah.
And wait till someone in Chicago calls you up and says, can you just bring it to Chicago? Do I have to go through Goldbelly?
I've gotten some crazy stuff. Someone in Peekskill was like, well, why can't you deliver? Oh, I don't know, because there's a pandemic and it's like let me call a Peekskill bagel shop. Like, why can't you deliver? A blogger got it. Well, do you know if I delivered to that blogger in your area? They probably picked up the order. I don't know who a blogger is or not. People are, you guys know.
Yeah, I only bring up the email and receiving of the orders because as I'm helping my buddy out at the yacht club, we're receiving both reservations and orders to the email. And email things get lost in that little, what is it, like the inbox, the category essentially?
Yeah.
Where it's not specifically going to a specific place. So there's a lot of jumble in between, because you get Best Buy ads and you get, whatever else Restaurant Depot ads in there. And my concern would be, as you completely scale and more orders come in, something gets lost
I don't
in the
do
cracks.
email orders. I don't check emails. I tell people, don't call me, text me. Don't email me. And if you do and it's important, then you have to text me that I got an email. And if you left a voicemail, it's never going to be heard. I just want to let you know that.
That's a good disclaimer.
Yeah, as long as people know up front.
Right. Like, I'm super, super busy. I can read things off my Apple Watch. I've got 5 robots, Alexa, Google, all of them. They can read me back stuff. Like, I'll do 50,000 things at once. Again, shout out to the ADHD. So with the text, and why I prefer the text and the Instagram, DM, and Facebook, is because I can reference things. I can scroll up and know what your previous order history was. I can know, a lot of times I'll invoice an order, which also acts as my order ticket. Say, please review this. Make sure all the counts. Make sure everything's correct. If it's correct, here's how you submit your payment details, all of that. They'll be, yeah, it's correct. And then I'm in the middle of making the order, and the numbers are off. Now, if I was to sit while I'm in the middle of producing 6 orders at once and try to get someone on the phone, which they may not be readily available, something's going to oh my gosh, what am I going to do? Completely cutting that out, I can literally, 99.9% of the time, I can scroll up and see where I or someone else had invoiced it might have missed it and completely correct it within 45 seconds or less versus having to, panic myself and cause a whole uproar. So that makes it really easy. Or someone can say, my husband ordered and this was it and I don't remember what it was. I can go back and reference it. It also gives that kind of personal experience with my customer because I then know this is your birthday, was your special order, this is the person's name, and I have that personal relationship with each customer, which I think is important and why I like kind of keeping it small. So yeah, that's why I prefer it personally.
So you've got order minimums now per person too, to make sure that you're producing enough to make it worthwhile because these are very custom, right?
Well, the order minimums are really just because it's the smallest batch I can make. So I broke down my half dozen, or where it's like 270 grams of flour, and that can produce like 3 to 4 bagels. Do I necessarily want to have to do that? No, but because I have so many orders throughout a day, sometimes if someone just doesn't have they have an uneven order, like they want 8 bagels, it's no problem. But if it's like, this was a day that I'm working in my other office and I wasn't really planning to work and they want 9 bagels, I'm sorry, just make it a dozen. I might as well, or I'll just add extra bagels in because I don't want to waste food, which is a big reason why I do the whole made-to-order aspect. The amount of food wasted in bagel shops is disgusting. It's horrible. And it also doesn't ensure everything can be fresh if you're just making everything ahead of time. Things go bad. And so I try to avoid that.
So what does maybe like a dozen everything bagels cost if I come to you?
$16.99.
$16.99. And now that's just an everything bagel. Mm-hmm. How about the price on, say, like the Baby Yoda, for example?
So the Baby Yodas are $4.25 each. They're larger
Which is
than
what I suspected it to be.
Yeah, they're larger than the standard bagel though. They're bigger because they're two different doughs. So I have to make 2 separate batches. The whole process to make it. They're also the eyes are hand drawn on the ears. So
you don't have to justify it. I would literally say that it was probably $4.
No, well, me, I'm a frugal person, so I always try to put myself into the consumer's shoes, where I'm like, I don't know, I'm gonna pay what I would pay and not feel. I like value. I'm
correct.
all about value.
I'm with you.
Which is also the whole made to order, because if you bite into that bacon bagel, there's 2 strips of chopped bacon in there. It's not like 3 little bites. No, I'm packing it with bacon. If I'm doing a Nutella bagel bomb, everyone's like, there's like fucking $40 worth of Nutella in here. I'm like, bro, I know, because it's going to be worth it. And I give you extra Nutella too. You want, because that's also a big part of customer service.
So what's
there's
the most?
specialty
I'm waiting to bite into that bacon one. I didn't want to eat another bagel while we were sitting here.
It's less grams as like the standard like heavy bagel, so don't even feel like it's.
Oh no, I wasn't worried for a health reason. Just not at all worried about that. I was just because we were talking. I didn't want to just sit here and eat a bagel the whole entire time.
No, if you bite into it, there's
I'm slinging barbecue over here. I'm not worried about that.
So what's the most expensive bagel then that you
currently
currently
have?
have?
The Baby Yoda is currently the most expensive.
So at $4.50 and.
But then you're talking bagel bombs. Bagel bombs. The most expensive bagel bomb is the Philly cheesesteak bagel bombs.
And what is a bagel bomb?
So a bagel bomb is a stuffed bagel. So I take my bagel recipe.
This is getting out of hand.
I lay it out.
Are there any of those in the box anywhere?
I wish, but I'm going to make some and bring them to you guys, I promise, because you do have to try them. So I've got a bunch of different Nutella ones. I've got your bacon, egg, and cheese. I have your everything. So like the everything bagel bomb, I do soft scrambled eggs. I make an everything home fry, so it's like chopped potatoes, scallions, tricolored peppers, everything bagel seasoning, caramelized onions, and regular onions all sauteed. So that gets put, all this is made. So while dough is being made, I'm making everything, again, everything's fresh, made to order. If you order a caramelized onion bagel, I'm caramelizing those onions while the dough is being made. So that's got your eggs, your home fries, your sausage patty, your bacon, your cheese. It's wrapped and rolled into a giant bagel bomb and topped with everything bagel seasoning.
It's wrapped and rolled. So the presentation on it is similar to a bagel?
No, it looks like almost let's see, like a
maybe like a calzone,
but not. It's I would say oval shaped,
Okay.
but large.
All
So it's like a bagel without the hole, but a little bit more, more
like a ducky.
rectangular.
Okay.
Yep.
So yeah, depending on which one it is, the same with the Philly cheesesteak. That's filled with New York strip steak, caramelized onions, cheese
Stop,
whiz,
just
American
stop,
cheese, and
just
it's
stop.
coated in garlic, fresh garlic
Cheese
butter.
whiz and American cheese.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
the way to do that.
Cheesy. It's
That's
gotta be
what
cheese on cheese.
So then, what do bagel bombs cost then?
So bagel bombs are anywhere. There's also a PB&J one, so they cost anywhere from $3.75 to $15.
Okay, and which one is $15?
Probably
Philly
the steak and
cheesesteak.
cheese
The
one.
Philly cheesesteak is about like
Mr. Bagels.
like half the size of my forearm. It's this big. It's huge. Like again, I fill these suckers up. There's about like 3/4 of a pound of New York strip in there.
If I could get myself to the gym just like twice in 1 week, I'll reward myself at the end of the week
right?
and put one of these orders through with you. Yeah, totally.
Just get the Peloton and you meet me on there in the morning and we're good to go.
That actually might incentivize me going to the gym. Like, I gotta check on Justin so he doesn't think I'm slacking. But all right, so this is interesting because your schedule is so hectic as it is. You're putting through all these orders. How do you have any time for yourself?
I am a different breed. This is time for myself. I love doing it. I love it. So there'll be days where my husband's like, "You really need to like just take some time off," and I'll be like, "Okay," and I'll just be sitting there. I'm like, "I have an idea,"
Can make some
and then
bagels.
I'm like, "Let me try this out," and then all of a sudden he'll just hear like the big giant commercial. He'll hear the whole bar click on, and he's like, "All right, let me just leave her alone," and I'm like, "Now try this." I love it. I love it. So for me, it's kind of my version of self-care, which is, I know, a little strange. Yeah, I don't know. Working out is the other time that I find for myself.
You're evidently a morning person, though,
I have to
considering
be.
like bagels are a morning object that are eaten, right?
Oh, for sure. I start anywhere between 1 and 3 a.m. depending on the schedule for the day and what my schedule is in my other office.
1 to 3 a.m.?
Between 1 and 3, I'm actually starting. I'm up and starting.
So you're asleep by like 7 p.m.
No, no, I can't. So my kids don't even go to bed at 7, so I've got a 2-year-old. So they're usually eating between 6:30 and 7, and then I have to also manage the Instagram for both businesses. I have to get back to people's responses, any emails or text message orders, questions that are had for both businesses. I will usually clean, prep, try to make boxes, look at what my orders are if I get last-minute order requests, set up the boxes. So that makes it a little bit, can cut down on my time because my husband still also has a job and can't always help me.
It's exhausting.
Yeah, my oldest is in school.
Jay
in
doesn't
Connecticut.
understand. He still thinks people should sleep 8 or 9 hours.
I wish, but yeah, no, I don't. So like, and I'll have like a Westchester blogger will message me at like 3:30 in the morning something, and I'll respond. She's like, "What the fuck are you doing up?" I'm like, "Bro, you already know I don't sleep." And then I'll send her a video of like the mixer on. She's like, "I can't. Like this is fucking crazy." But then I'll hit a point where I burn out, and I'm like, I'm dying, and I have to take. For me, taking a day is I'll do 6 to 10 orders in the morning, and I'll be done by like noon, 1 o'clock, and then I'm just sitting on my couch with my 2-year-old, like, "Come, best friend." Like, let's just sit here and vegetate.
For you.
Yeah, and I'll tell my 12-year-old, Aiden, get me some chips. I'm like, I don't want to get up and do nothing. Like, I'll have to pee for like 6 hours, and I'm not getting up.
It's funny because that drive of character you don't see too often, where people that's what they do. They just forward motion.
Yeah.
They investigate. They figure things out. They try, fail. They try again. They work it out. And there's no stopping. And I very much agree that, yeah, you have that burnout period of time at some point. But where, you talk about the Shark Tank guys not wanting to invest in things that are not proprietary. Occasionally you see them just invest in the person. Like that's right there.
Well, that's the other half.
What? Oh, the other half of value of investing?
Nothing in our business is proprietary. You're
Sure.
always investing in the people.
Yeah, and I mean, I would
You
comfortably
can't copyright a bagel.
Can you not?
You
Copyright?
Maybe a bad
When I
one.
see people
Recipe.
copy things, people will like tag me and stuff. I get mad. Like I get like, oh. At least like throw props, like, oh, this was inspired by this.
Yeah.
But then I also have to sit there and like get real with myself. Like, come on, like really? I actually said to myself, I go, Smokehouse. There's different barbecue places. I'm sure they've tried to copy things, and you have to kind of eat it. There's how many taco places, but you have to just do you and do the best that you can do when it comes to kind of your field, your wheelhouse. And so yeah, I'm sure there's going to be 100 people coming up with trying to do bagel bombs or bagel bites, whatever it is I do, and I kind of just have to eat it and just keep, doing my thing and not worrying about everybody else.
Swiss Beats producer. once somebody asked him, what do you do when people steal your beats? And he goes, can't do anything. You just got to make more hot beats.
Yeah.
And like that stuck with me for so long where 100%.
Yeah.
You're going to have quote unquote competition or people doing things similar to you, and you just have to do them twice as good and twice as large than everyone else is doing them. And I think that's the way to go. Britt, what's the website?
www.BRITT&COBagels.com.
And you don't want them to put an order through via email. You want them to put an order in on the Instagram.
Yeah, well, there is an email there, but no, they could do it through text message to the main line, Instagram, or Facebook.
At 1 a.m. in the morning. And you can pick it up at 3:30. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, no, they do it at all hours.
Guys, don't forget to smash that like and subscribe button because, algorithms.
Waiting on Fries will release freshly in the short form on Tuesdays, covering real-life issues we see in our bars and restaurants. And Thursdays, look for our conversations with restaurants, breweries, public figures, companies, and anyone else that pertains to the hospitality industry. This has been On the Record.